Losing body fat is tough. For most people, it means implementing some combination of changes between their dietary approach and their exercise approach to ensure that they're in a caloric deficit. Losing body fat probably involves being hungry sometimes. It means spending time and energy doing things like preparing or planning meals ahead of time and doing exercise sessions, as well as using some willpower and discipline to say no to junk food or alcohol at social eating events. Yep, fat loss doesn't occur unless changes are implemented. And implementing change is difficult. Keeping all of that in mind, one thing is for certain. After working hard to lose all of your desired body fat, there's nothing worse than gaining it all back afterwards. That's probably the last thing you would ever hope for, to lose all of the progress that you worked so hard for. And yet, that happens to people all the time. Why is that though? Why does that happen to so many people? The ideal would be to lose your desired amount of body fat to get lean and then to stay lean forever, not to gain the body fat back. In this video, while showing you footage from my latest full body gym workout, I'm going to shed light on the main reason why so many people regain their body fat after working so hard to lose it, and what you can do instead to ensure once you lose that fat that you keep it off for good. Before we dive in, if you find this video to be helpful, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out. Okay, let's dive in. Fat loss happens from being and staying in a caloric deficit until the desired amount of body fat is lost. There's no way around that. There are, however, many different means to meet that end. There are different diets like keto, Mediterranean, paleo, low carb, low fat, no sugar, vegetarian, vegan, carnivore, if it fits your macros, and so on. There are also more eccentric approaches like juice or smoothie cleanses. And you can go straight to the source and track your calories as well with whatever dietary approach that you decide to take. Of course, on top of dieting, there are also different exercise approaches, whether that be a certain type of lifting like CrossFit or strength training, some kind of cardio routine, whether that be something like HIIT or jogging, or some combination of both lifting and cardio. All of the different dietary and exercise approaches you can take, whether it be a single approach or a combination of multiple ones, they act as different means to reach the ultimate end, which is a caloric deficit. When fat loss is the goal, it can seem prudent to pick an approach that is effective and works, something that guarantees the fat will come off. That makes sense. But what's often missed upon setting out to accomplish a fat loss goal is thinking ahead and asking the questions: what happens once I reach my goal? How will I maintain my results thereafter? Here's why asking those questions and answering them is important. If you pick a means of fat loss that you cannot sustain for the long term and simply implement them initially for fast and effective results in the beginning, I'm talking some kind of diet and or exercise approach, how could you expect to keep your results? By definition, if the means is not sustainable, then it means you would eventually stop doing it. And what that means for most people is falling back on previous eating and exercise habits, the same ones that led them to gain body fat in the first place. Unsurprisingly, that means usually gaining the body fat back. An example of this would be upon deciding to lose 30 pounds of body fat, you adopt a 5 days a week jogging routine from previously not doing any exercise at all, while simultaneously cutting out sugar from your diet despite having a stark sweet tooth. On paper, that might sound like a great idea. Doing cardio 5 times a week means burning lots of calories, and cutting out sugar means potentially consuming significantly less calories. For most people, that would lead to a caloric deficit, maybe even an extreme one. and that would mean fat loss. But there's a big potential problem with that approach, at least for many people, or even for most people. It's hard as heck, and for most people, maybe not everyone, but most, it's not sustainable. So if you were to ask yourself the question, what happens once I reach my fat loss goal? How will I maintain my results thereafter? You might find yourself drawing a blank. If you could sustain the 5 times a week of doing cardio and permanently remove sugar from your diet, then great, that works. But if not, then what happens next? See, that's the problem. In that situation, most people don't have the answer, so naturally they revert back to old habits and gain all of the body fat back. In this context, that means reverting to not doing any cardio and reintroducing sugar back into the diet. If you pick a means that isn't sustainable, gaining back body fat is all but guaranteed. So, what's the solution? How can you ensure that once you lose your desired amount of body fat, that you keep it off? Well, you pick a sustainable means of fat loss. One where once you lose your desired amount of body fat, you can stick with the main principles of your approach. My best advice would be picking an exercise routine or style that you enjoy, or at the very least, one you can uphold in your schedule. For some people, that might mean 2 to 3 45-minute strength training sessions a week. For others, that could mean several CrossFit sessions a week, plus some racquetball for fun. For others, that might mean some strength training and some daily walking. And shoot, for some people, that could mean a regular cardio routine. As far as nutrition goes, my advice would be the same. Pick a dietary approach that you do genuinely enjoy and that leaves you satiated for the most part. A little bit of hunger is normal and something worth learning to live with, but ongoing excessive hunger is not at all ideal. Learning how to track calories and create your own dietary approach, picking mostly unprocessed whole foods that you enjoy, and even making a meal plan around that is a great way to ensure that your dietary approach is sustainable. That's actually what I do for myself and what I teach and help many of my clients with. But again, there are many different means of getting and staying in a caloric deficit. The important thing is you choose the one that you can stick with. So when you ask yourself the question, what happens once I reach my fat loss goal? How will I maintain my results thereafter? You could confidently answer, I'll just keep implementing the same dietary and exercise approach that I've been following up to the point of losing my desired amount of body fat. If you do that, then you can rest easy in knowing that once you lose your desired amount of body fat, you won't have to worry about regaining it back thereafter. And there you have it. Regaining body fat after working so hard to lose it usually comes from either picking a dietary or exercise approach, or some combination of the two, that's just unsustainable. To ensure that you avoid that and instead keep your hard-earned fat loss results forever, it's prudent to pick a means that is sustainable, a means that you can uphold for, ideally, forever. Fortunately, there are many different means of accomplishing fat loss, so you have options and can absolutely customize an approach that is sustainable uniquely for you. At this point, I'd love to know your feedback. Let me know your insights, comments, questions in the comment section below. Before this video comes to a close, I want to quickly let you know about the work that I do. When I'm not making YouTube videos or Instagram content, I work full-time as an online physique coach, where I help my clients to accomplish their muscle growth and fat loss goals by optimizing their approach to strength training and nutrition, and I coach them through the process. I've been doing this work for over 7 years and love helping my clients to not only transform their bodies, but ultimately their lives. If you've been considering getting some help with accomplishing your own physique goals, feel free to hit the link in the description below, where you can learn a little bit more about the work that I do and how I can help you. You can even use that link to schedule a free video consultation with me. If you have any questions about my coaching or how I can help you, just email me at sam@jadeathletics.ca. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.